But I really appreciate you joining us today. We've
Yeah,
got Jared Wiklund with us, and you got a pretty cool job actually, because you're working for Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever, right?
yeah. It's a passion project for me, is what it really is. It's I think there's some people in this world that go to work every day and say, why am I here? And at Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever, I know why I'm here, and I know what we're working towards. So as a foremost, leading upland bird habitat conservation group in the United States, it's very easy to come to work for every day because my work is my passion, and I think a lot of people in this organization sort of have that same mindset.
Yeah, no, it's definitely easy when the mission lines up with your own, personal feelings, and it makes it a lot easier. I know that's why I love, I do get to travel a bit to events, and someone actually approached us about coming to Pheasant Fest,
Yep.
which is one that we're looking at, seeing how or if we're able to make it. There's a lot of logistics there, but it's a lot of work to go to stuff like that. But when it's a passion and the driving force behind it, like we'll do the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Convention every year, and I'll tell you, it's a brutal
Yep.
4 weeks, and I know what you guys have to do to put on those events is just unreal, the manpower and the hours, but it
Yeah,
makes it a little easier.
it's a pretty massive undertaking, and then you add in all the vendors and the dogs, and you're bringing in staff to help with the fundraising side of it, and just with the show itself and doing the advertising. Yeah, it's a massive undertaking, but like you said, it's 30,000 like-minded people in the same room. So
Right.
it makes it once you're there and you get going, you get through Saturday night. The rest is just cake. So
It's downhill.
pretty much, yeah.
Well, I've got a couple of things, and I'm going to jump out of order from what I was hoping to talk about, but you just brought up the fundraising. And I think with nonprofits, it's a really big deal to bring up. A lot of people are skeptical of how the funds are spent and this and that. And the one thing I found, correct me if I'm wrong, but in researching you guys, it sounds like all the local chapters, the fundraising money there, it stays for their dedicated projects, and there's just a percentage, or your membership fees that go to the national level. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So I like to tell people the difference between Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever and all the other wonderful conservation groups that we work in partnership with all the time out there, whether
Sure.
it's Ducks Unlimited, National Wild Turkey Federation, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, all of those, is that our model is local. So everything that chapters, volunteers at the local level, they get together, they start a chapter, they hold a local fundraiser, and all the money that's raised at that, except for membership fees, which is $35 per person,
Yeah.
all that stays with the local chapter. The $35 comes back to us, to pay staff, keep the lights on, run different programs and initiatives, keep things going, because it's still at the end of the day, it's still a business, right? Like you have to run it as such. But we are extremely transparent with everything that we do on the financial side. And you're absolutely correct. Membership comes back here, and the funds stay with local chapters. I'm involved in the local chapter. We support shooting teams, do land acquisitions, do habitat projects, run food plot seed program. There's a lot of different things that chapters do day in and day out. Maybe not day in and day out. Some of us that work for the organization, I try to separate like church and state, right? Try to get my life back from doing the PR thing on the side. But Pheasants Forever started back in 1982, right here in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I'm coming to you from, and there was an article written by Dennis Anderson. He's one of the last remaining big time outdoor writers in this country that works for the Star Tribune. He's been here a long time. At that point in time, in 1982, he was working for the St. Paul Pioneer Press, or I think for the Dispatch maybe. And he wrote an article called Upland Bird Restoration, The Time Is Now. And it basically talked about, it started with, have you ever seen a have you ever seen a pheasant freeze on the side of the road in Minnesota in winter when, the habitat's degraded and there's nothing left for wildlife? And that just got a lot of response, a lot of letters sent in. And he decided at that point to start an organization that was dedicated to the bird itself, dedicated to upland hunters. And that's really how Pheasants Forever came about.
That's cool. Now, how you said that started back in 80? Was it 87? You said
82.
82.
Yep. 1982.
That's kind of morphed into. You said Quail Forever is a much more recent extension kind of Pheasants Forever.
Yep. In the early 2000s, we started looking at quail populations, and they've dropped 80% since the 1970s. And we decided, we're doing this similar thing for pheasants. Quail deserve, it's such an iconic species, especially when you're talking, Bob White is the big one. I think everybody knows, but you get into, mountain quail and Mearns quail and Gamble's quail. There's all sorts of, 6 different species of wild quail. But we've really expanded our footprint through Quail Forever to basically the lower 48 states. We did have chapters we did have a Quail and Pheasants Forever chapter in Hawaii at one point. We also had a chapter in Anchorage at one point. We don't anymore. So in the lower 48, we've got a chapter in every state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big deal, really.
It is. It's a big group of people. You talk about fundraising there a little bit ago, and the pandemic set us back a little bit. But thankfully, due to our model, it set everybody back, right?
Yeah,
but
right.
Thankfully, due to our model, we had a lot of support at the chapter level to help keep us going. And we dropped about 20,000 members during that time. But typically, we sit right between 130 and 150,000 members. It's a very big organization with a large voice for upland habitat conservation. And that's that's what we do day in and day out around here. As the press guy, as a PR manager, people always ask me what's my role. It's to write about and try to get earned media around all the cool things that we're doing on the landscape, and that's land acquisitions, that's partnership projects, that's chapters. Or our state affiliates, adopt a wildlife management area program where we're going out and helping upgrade those wildlife management areas, public property, to the best that they can possibly be. We're helping to enroll walk-in area programs, throughout the state. Oregon's actually got a pretty cool one that we're involved with out there right now, really? Along with all the other states. I wouldn't say all of them, but there's a number of different states where we're extremely involved in walk-in access programs. And then our big claim to fame too is a biologist program. If you are a private landowner in the United States, there's a very good chance that we have a biologist within a reasonable distance of you. Whatever your wildlife conservation thoughts are, whatever plan you'd like to come up with, it could be pheasants or quail. It could be sage grouse, it could be mule deer, it could be wild turkey. Our biologists would come out and make a personalized conservation program for your property.
Oh, wow.
And that's where we can really, really make a difference for wildlife.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And you guys have a pile of biologists. I was looking at the numbers on the website, doing a little homework before this, and it's like, wow. You guys, I have heard of you guys. For a long time. I don't want to say familiar, but knowledgeable of them. And then, when you start digging into it and just chatting with you, it's like there is a lot going on behind the scenes that's driving this, and it's really more just an aid to the public, especially like you said, the way you're structured really took me by surprise because, I'm familiar with a lot of other I don't want to say habitat projects, but like groups, other conservation groups across the board. It's like there's always a percentage that has to go here, or there's this that's allocated here, where you guys are really working it. The people that are putting in the time and they're raising those funds, they get to keep more of an investment in those projects. It feels like they probably can take that more to heart because it's at home.
Yep, they're doing the work, or they're raising the money and hiring out the work on some of those areas, which is also a decent way to go. But I see people, whether it's the Quail Forever logo or the Pheasants Forever logo, it's a pheasant, the sun coming up behind it. Sometimes people just think, well, you guys just go out and shoot pheasants. It's like, well, for a habitat conservation group, rednecks and shotguns are part of it, and we're proud of
right.
that. I mean, that's how we were born and raised on as an organization, but it's really expanded into a lot of different, all the different regions of the United States and species. The pheasants and quail are what we're working towards, but how we accomplish that right now is done in a lot of different ways. So I mentioned earlier, but sage grouse initiative and trying to conserve that iconic bird out west. We've done over 500,000 acres of tree removal in areas where invasive trees are taking over sagebrush. And sagebrush as an ecosystem, it's good for pheasants too. It's good for mule deer. And obviously sage grouse, elk, antelope. We work with landowners in a lot of western regions to help fix their fence to help with migration corridor for pronghorn antelope. They can't jump over those fences, so they have to be able to go underneath. So that's a big project we're working on right now. We've got big game habitat improvement positions throughout the West where men and women are working to keep 60,000 acres at a time of intact grasslands for migration corridors, which that equals pheasants and sharptails and all the wonderful things we care about: water quality, carbon sequestration for climate resiliency. Another big avenue for us is pollinators. A lot of people don't realize Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever are one of the foremost authorities right now in putting pollinator habitat back on the landscape. We've planted over 1 billion milkweed seeds in the last decade. And we use pollinator habitat as great brood rearing habitat for pheasants and quail for the young chicks, because they eat soft-bodied insects, all upland birds, soft-bodied insects, those especially first 3-4 months of life. So, while we might be focusing on a particular honeybee or the monarch butterfly, which everybody knows about the blight that's going on there right now, we use that as a way to impact habitat for our favorite species in pheasants and quail.
So you guys got a pretty broad, that's a 30,000 foot view. That's not dialing in on one thing. You guys are going back.
It's a broad brushstroke. We work in the prairie chicken range, sharptail range, pheasants and quail, pollinators all over the place. It's pretty crazy stuff. We've got awesome relationships right now and are entering new agreements with ag and commodity groups to try to figure out how can we help landowners achieve their sustainability efforts while also taking acres that aren't producing and enrolling them in a program and giving them a payment for that for the farm and help keep those family farms going. While at the same time upping revenue across all other acres of their property. So it's pretty cool stuff. And you know what? If you really want to paint a broad brush, I'll give you this. Since 1982, Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever has improved 22 million acres.
Dang.
A lot on private, a lot on public as well. And as part of those public acres, we've permanently conserved. We're over 221,000 acres right now, which is, I don't have my calculator in front of me, but it's about 350 square miles. So you just walk the outside of those would take you all the way from Canada to the Mexico border. So
that is wild.
Yeah.
To people who don't understand, that just sounds like a big number. That's a huge number. When it comes to man hours and boots on the ground and what you guys are putting in, the number, it's overwhelming in a way. That's a huge number for me to hear. But at the same time, what has gone on to have that happen and the logistics is crazy.
It's a lot of banquets.
So you guys run annual banquets. Does each chapter run their own banquet for their fundraiser?
Yep.
Oh, Rocky Mountain Elk, or I was vice president for the Oregon Hunters Association chapter here locally for a lot of years. And, we had a fundraiser every year, and then we did our own projects in the off season. But do they all have their own fundraising banquets?
They do. Every single chapter, sort of has a certain way they go about things, but most of them have a single fundraising event per year. Some of them have multiple. They'll put on different types of hunts. They'll put on a clays shoot for conservation and raise money that way. But most of them put on one annual banquet, and that's in a lot of communities. I would call it sort of like the community gathering of the year. So as an example,
that's like the gathering hall.
Yeah, as an example, I used to work in Iowa for Pheasants Forever as a regional rep before I took this job, and in that role, I'd go out and help chapters put on their annual fundraiser, help them with customer service. But I'd go to those fundraisers. A lot of them were in the fall and the spring, and in the fall ones, everybody we had one up in Winnebago, Hancock, in the northern part of the state in Iowa, and that was on the pheasant opener. So you'd be seeing you'd be seeing these glowing people coming in after being out pheasant hunting for the day, and I'd go up there and hunt with a few chapter guys. We'd set up the night before, go out and hunt during the day. Shoot a couple limits of pheasants, and just having a great old time. And then we'd all meet, put on our banquet clothes, and you get all the hunters showing up, sharing stories about how great of a day they had, or their dog,
that's cool.
Their dog just had this 100-yard retrieve, through the woods and fields and water, and and then based on that good feeling, you're raising a lot of money that night because they want more of that. They want, and it's not just for upland birds. It's for deer. It's for walk-in access. It's for turkeys. It's for the next generation. So, yeah, we do a lot of everything, and we try to do it all well, which is key.
Well, and like you said, when you come in off of a high like that, like around here, if you try to plan anything during hunting season with hound guys or a lot of deer and elk hunters, you can forget it. Like they're just not going to show up because they're on a multi-day, usual trip or whatever. But like that, when you're getting them in there and they just had a taste of what this is all financing, like what all the effort's going towards, I'll bet you guys have some pretty good auctions, fundraising events.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like we mentioned, National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic earlier, a big national convention that sort of moves around the country. It's in Minneapolis this year. But you can, last year we've got our Call of the Uplands national campaign going right now. It's sort of going to sunset here in February at National Pheasant Fest, but that's been a 5-year, $500 million campaign to try and save a piece of North America's uplands. That's what it's about. And I remember last year, we shared some videos and did some cool things, and we were trying to raise money for a particular access and habitat program. And in 5 minutes, the people in that room, raised over $100,000 just on their phones.
Man,
that doesn't
amazing.
include what they're spending on raffle tickets and those types of things. So
right.
It's a pretty cool adventure, and it's really fun to see and be part of. As somebody that's been part of a local Pheasants Forever chapter, not just from the work aspect, but from a volunteer aspect. We put on our fundraiser in April, and it's just it's a really great time, and to catch up with everybody from year to year is probably the best part about it.
Yeah, sometimes those are like the one time you get to see everybody. Yeah, I've got guys that I see once a year, and that's at Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation or at the Oregon Hunters Association, or it's just like it's a gathering place. It still feels like, I don't know, I think of the old Grange halls, and gatherings and stuff like that. It's just down home.
Here's an example for you. So, Oregon, are you familiar with the Hunt by Reservation program?
I am not.
So in Oregon, we've got a staffer out there named Brandon Deitches, and Brandon helps run the Hunt by Reservation program. And he basically goes out and works with private landowners to get them signed up for that. And Oregon, I hear you guys have his particular program focuses on all the different species, but I know out there you have an issue with wild turkeys in some regions. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the over influx of wild turkeys.
So we work with landowners to line up areas where turkeys become a problem, or perhaps there is there could be a nice quail population, big game.
Sure.
They do waterfowl, dove, all those types of things. But Brandy goes around and signs up landowners for this program, and it's a hunt by reservation in Oregon where landowners hunters can go online and reserve a spot to go in and
Oh, wow.
take part in a hunting opportunity that's provided by private landowners. So
that is really cool.
Yeah, that's just one small example of how we're helping connect habitat and access throughout the nation and in the Northwest for you. So
that is great.
Yep, it's a really, really cool program.
Well, and I want to get more into the Pheasant Fest and some of that. But first, I'd really like to talk to you about why you're drawn to this, because you're a hunter yourself. Yep. You said, what kind of dogs are you running right now?
I've got an English pointer who he'll be 11 in February, but he's still gung ho and can outrun most of them. And I've also got a 3-year-old lab named Luna, who I'm going to be taking out for the duck opener here actually this coming weekend. So.
Oh, cool. So what species are you hunting then? Is waterfowl new for you then, or is this just a new dog?
No, so I grew up in Duluth, Minnesota. It's right on the tip of Lake Superior for listeners that don't know where that is, and it's been labeled one of the top outdoor towns in the nation multiple times now. So I grew up on the traditions of ruffed grouse and white-tailed deer hunting in the Superior National Forest. In the northern part of the state. You're talking millions of acres of just straight up forest habitat.
Yeah.
So I never really got exposed to. I did duck hunting as well. We had a cabin in northwest Wisconsin growing up. So ruffed grouse, upland hunting, deer, and waterfowl were sort of my thing. And I really didn't get into pheasant hunting until I moved down to a little town called Decorah, Iowa. Are you familiar with Decorah, Iowa at all?
I am not.
It's where Luther College is, and that's where I went to school. It's in the northeast corner of Iowa. And when I moved down there, one of the reasons I decided to go there was for the outdoor opportunities. When you're talking deer hunting, pheasant hunting, turkey hunting, trout fishing, waterfowl as well, it's really tough to beat the northeast corner of the state. They've got a little bit of everything. Really? Maybe we actually got a couple of rough grouse there too. And that's one of the reasons that drew me to that part of the state. And my first year was my first experience with pheasant hunting, and I was just hooked. I didn't really know about pheasants forever until I started doing pheasant hunting and looking it up online.
Sure.
And I got halfway through school. I was actually focusing. I was going to be a nurse, and then I switched over to exercise physiology. We got a lot of heart problems in my family, so that's kind of what got me on that line. I wanted to help save people from going through the whole heart attack ordeals. And,
sure.
Halfway through school, I had my schedule set up. I had classes all day, Tuesday, Thursday, all day and into the night. I had Monday, Wednesday, Friday off. And if I wasn't
what were you doing in your downtime?
If I wasn't hunting or doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing in my downtime, hunting really became something that I was doing almost every day or every other day at least. So really got into that, and I said to myself, you know what? You love the outdoors so much, like a conservation officer or something in the outdoor realm. Right after school, I ended up going up to Alaska for a year and was a wilderness guide up there out of a nonprofit called Alaska Center for the Environment, taking people out on fishing trips and camping trips and kayaking out in the ocean.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Saw a lot of bears and moose, and got into some sticky situations. Taking little kids on mountain biking in the Chugach Range. Right around Anchorage. But after that, I came home and was really looking for an outdoor opportunity. And that's really why I got involved in pheasants forever. It fit me as a person. I'd always wanted a dog. I got my first dog when I started working for them. I actually started as an unpaid intern for a year, believe it or not, after I got back from Alaska. And I basically worked my tail off and asked them for a shot. And the the rest has been history. It's been
now you're the guy. You're the face.
It's been a labor of love. I've been here for 12 years now, and honestly, you always get that question from people like, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years from now? It's working for this organization. I love it that much. Yeah. In fact, I actually have a big cedar cutout of the Pheasants Forever logo on my pole barn out back. If I had a window, I'd turn my camera around right now and show you that. But yeah, it's a labor of love, and it's something that is pretty near and dear to me. So,
well, like we said, when it's a labor of love, it makes it way different. The years fly by. I mean, shoot, when I came here to W, yeah, it's been almost 6 years now, and it's like, dang, it just happened in my mind. Like, it wasn't that long ago, and time just flies because, when you enjoy what you're doing, they say time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, honestly, working for Pheasants Forever, and being able to tell the story about, an incredible land acquisition that just came about, or, anything related to our work with state agencies or walking programs, just being able to tout those successes and let people know, like, hey, you went to this banquet. This is what came out of it, and Pheasants Forever is working for the public land hunter. We're working for landowners to help them out through our biologist program, which is one of the biggest biologist programs in the country right now. I think we employ more biologists right now. We're second only to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We've got hundreds of biologists on the landscape throughout the United States, which is pretty cool. And to think that in 1982. This organization started from a newspaper article in somebody's garage.
So all the good ones start.
We've come a really long way, and it's a really rich history, and we're celebrating our 40th this year, which I'm very proud to.
That's
To talk
awesome.
about. So yeah.
Heck yeah. No, that's really cool, and especially like knowing when you start kind of at the bottom, and you're coming in, and now, obviously you put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it. And I know you guys have the big fundraiser and event, Pheasant Fest, which you said is coming up in February.
It is February 17th through the 19th at the Minneapolis Convention Center.
So we actually got turned on to you guys because one of your members, or I'm going to say, I believe an employee, was talking to me, ordered some stuff, and I had no idea. I know I had dealt with him prior, but didn't understand the affiliation there, and he kind of kicked us to you guys. It was Rich. Yep. I get weird about mentioning names because sometimes I don't know if they want it or not.
Everybody knows Rich. It's all good. Yeah, he's a good Wisconsin boy. So
and that's probably how he knew us. We got a lot of Wisconsinites that follow, but he kind of turned us on to it, and he's like, "You guys really need to come to Pheasant Fest," which like I said, we don't do a lot of events. We really only do a few a year, but. Paint a picture for me, because I've never been to a big like upland event. I've never done like the big rendezvous things. I've always done like state chapter, or local chapter, state, but I've never been to a big national thing like that.
Yeah.
What are we talking? Is it just a gathering? There's vending, obviously, and I'm assuming some exhibitions. What exactly is going to be going on?
Pheasant Fest, I like to describe it this way. It's an outdoor trade show combined with an expert seminar series on hunting, cooking, dog training, and habitat management, sort of all rolled into one. And then with that, you've got the fundraisers. You've got a Friday night fundraiser. You've got a Saturday night fundraiser. So I really tell people, if you're going to come to Pheasant Fest, come for the whole weekend. Get the weekend package, get a hotel, stay with friends, whatever you need to do, and come on down, because it's shotguns and it's dogs and it's hunting gear and it's art. Anything you can really think of. We've got mom and pop stores that come here all the time as well. But it's really a gathering of conservation-minded individuals who care about the environment, care about conservation. And I would say 85% of them are pretty diehard hunters too, which is cool. It's easy to get along with people. Let me put it that way.
Right? Yeah, you walk in the room and everybody's buddies.
Yeah, and we've done everything from, we've had Hank Shaw, who's just a renowned wild game chef. He was our headliner last year. In the past, we've had Steve Ranella from Meat Eater, signing books and giving a talk at our Saturday night dinner. This year we've got a number of different things going on. On Thursday night, before Pheasant Fest even opens, we're doing a film fest, and this would be our second annual film fest.
Cool.
Bring people in and show them just pretty dramatic short films that are based on upland hunting. We've done everything from sharp tails and quail to pheasants and ptarmigan up in Alaska. Just pretty awesome videos where you basically sort of get to imagine like there was a bucket list hunt everywhere.
This is it.
This is it right here. So,
yeah, right.
That's typically how this year I think it's going to be at the Pour House in downtown Minneapolis, which is you got every kind of beer on tap that you can possibly think of, and most of the people that you get to know over the years are there and attending it. Anyone who's anyone is at that event.
Right.
And
it's the event of the season.
Yeah, it's basically it's a gathering to watch some pretty cool films and catch up with people about how their upland season went. So it's pretty much almost over at that time, in mid-February. So
do people need to sign up for like those workshops? I mean, I'm calling it a workshop, more like a seminar, but
they're all the workshops, dog training, cooking, all those come with your entry. So it's $10 to get onto the show floor, and it comes with all that. The banquets are separate. You pay if you want to come to the banquet and have a nice meal and do some fundraising with us, and sit through some of the different seminars that we do at that to show people where we've been and sort of where we're going as far as conservation is concerned. Sure. But the weekend itself, you get onto the show floor and there's just a lot of different things to do and see, a lot of signups for things, prizes to win, shotguns. We give away ATVs, UTVs, just a lot of interesting things there if you're an outdoor person. And what's becoming a bigger draw now really is our path to the upland stage as well. So we get a lot of youth, a lot of young kids coming, boys, girls.
That's awesome.
And then men and women too. Adult onset hunters are a big category for us right now. So if you're
booming, right?
Yeah, and if you're figuring out or trying to figure out like, man, I want to get into hunting, but where do I start? National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic is a good place to answer that question. Everything from getting hooked up with a mentor to learning the ropes on upland hunting. They have fishing simulators, hunting simulators, just all sorts of things for people to do. So all in all, it's a very, very fun weekend for outdoors people in general.
That is cool. I mean, the hunter recruitment, that's one that I think about a bit, and I wonder where we're going to be, because it's funny because like the youth in some aspects of the outdoors, the youth activity is really taken off.
Yep.
You know,
you look at high school shooting teams is a great example.
Archery, I've seen a lot more schools getting archery programs, which translates, it just shifts those kids in their mindset towards, thinking about hunting, even if they've never thought of it before. It's like, oh, this is cool. I can take a skill that I'm doing for fun and I can put food on the table. I think that plays a lot. And then you've got the adult onset hunters, right, that are coming in, they weren't exposed to it before. Now they are. And I'm waiting to see like how that all pans out, because I'm going to say the late starters, I know a lot of people that haven't hunted, but now they're in their like late 20s even. Yep. And they're thinking, hey, I want to give this a shot. Well, I know they have kids and they're young. So it's like you wonder, there's like this limbo, right? We're waiting because the kids aren't quite old enough to come in at a certain level, but the adults are making it. And you wonder, is it going to hold out long enough that they get that recruitment, and keep their kids involved in it? And what I'm seeing is once those late hunters come in, man, they are die hard. They're like, I don't know. Like I would think of them as dyed in the wool outdoorsmen because they come in with a passion. Like they're here for a reason. Do you guys see a lot of that as far as like volunteers and, people just coming in fired up?
Yep, we absolutely do. It takes one time basically to make a spark, especially for adult onset hunters. We've got a lot of awesome programs. I was just on a conference call yesterday. Listening to our hunting heritage program manager talk about all the cool learn to hunt events that are associated with adult onset hunters that are going on right now and will be into the future. And sometimes it's almost easier too because those people are coming in. They're able to purchase the items that are necessary to go upland hunting. We hooking up with a mentor. We do a learn to hunt event first, which is like a controlled, simulated controlled situation, right? To get them on the right path, make sure they have their hunter safety, and then we have a mentor program set up where we try to take them out numerous other times in the field throughout the fall. And the idea behind it is to basically graduate them to the point where they're comfortable going out on their own and pursuing whatever it is: pheasants, quail, grouse, deer, turkeys, bears, whatever it might be. So part of my job as the PR manager, and I say this a lot, I think one of the terms you hear about out there about, getting more adult onset hunters or getting more people mentored in the outdoors is that hot spotting, and there's not enough places to go currently. And that's one of the big barriers to getting people into the outdoors. It's like, I don't have a place to go. Well, thankfully, Pheasants Forever is here working on that through our land acquisitions, through walking hunting access, and providing places for people to go. And I'm pretty passionate about when people call me looking for a place to start. I've never been to South Dakota before, and I'm coming out this year. Can you give me some pointers on where to go? It's like, I'll drop you a few onyx pins if you'd like. My job, as I see it, as a PR manager for Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever, and all of our staff, is to really help people find success in the outdoors. Because success, I think, is defined in a lot of different ways. But if we're not helping people find that and be successful, and maybe not just harvest, but see birds on a trip that they're going out to,
the experience,
and get fired up by it. We need to make sure that we keep them coming back, and one way to do that is help them have a wonderful first experience in the outdoors. And it doesn't have to be harvesting, which I think that can be a part of it. They get really fired up when they harvest something, but just the experience itself and making sure people are finding success in the field is a big part about what we do here at Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever.
Well, it's cool because it sounds like you guys have a really good follow-up. Like you're a multi-step introduction into this where, I've been involved in a lot of things where it's like a one day, right? Like you're doing a youth outdoor day, or you're doing this, which are great. And we have to do those.
They're awesome. But we got to make sure.
Making that spark.
Yeah, we got to make sure that you're giving them opportunities down the road to take what they've learned and apply it in a real field situation.
Yeah. No, that's really cool to see more of these conservation groups like you guys they're seeing it as it is a multi-step process. Those of us that have been involved in the outdoors our whole life, we don't think of it as anything, but think about these new guys coming in, and you got to have a different perspective because it is, people think I'm nuts because like we hunt at night. You just go out in the woods and you turn your dogs loose and we go hunt at night and you don't think twice about it. And like you hunt out in the middle of nowhere at night by yourself. It's like, that's just what we do because we grew up, you know what I mean? Like it's just no big deal. But to take somebody from a one-day event and show them, this is kind of the gist of everything, go figure it out on your own. That was rough. And that's kind of the generation I feel like I grew up in. I'm 36. So had I not been involved in it with my family, it was a lot different situation then until now, where you guys are really setting up. There's a plan for success. Is what it seems like.
There is. And I would say that's the hardest part about getting involved in the outdoors right now is if you didn't grow up in a family where your mother or your father you had that figure that introduced you to the outdoors. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's hard to get involved. And
the jumping off point, that first step is rough.
Yeah. It can be really rough. And, one of the programs that we have going right now that I want to point out to listeners too would be Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever in partnership with Alps Outdoors with the Z at the end, Alps Outdoors Z, is our Hunter Mentor Pledge. And you can Google Pheasants Forever Hunter Mentor Pledge or Quail Forever Hunter Mentor Pledge. And you can go online and basically there's a form on there and you can win all sorts of cool prizes and hunting trips and things. But it's you as an individual making a pledge to take somebody outdoors and be a mentor for them throughout the upcoming season.
That is cool.
Yeah, if you've never done it before, just like deliberately taking someone, and I'm not talking like just like
one trip.
I'm not talking one trip or even your son or daughter. It's reaching out and finding somebody that has an interest in the outdoors that asked you about it before. And it's like, hey, I am going to set you up with a program and we're going to go out and hunt a couple different times, and you put something on the calendar and you take this Hunter Mentor Pledge on our website and you follow up with photos and sort of write your story in there. This last year we had over 700 people take the pledge of bringing new people outdoors on
That's cool.
Sort of a structured mentor hunter relationship. So yeah, it's really neat, and if you're looking for a way to help get more people outside, I would advise you to go check out the Hunter Mentor Pledge.
That is cool, man.
Yep. Okay.
And you said that's in conjunction with Alps Outdoors?
Yep.
Because they do outdoor gear. I mean,
they do. Yeah, they've got anything from hunting and camping. They're just a wonderful, wonderful entity. That's been a sponsor of ours for a while now as a national sponsor, and the Hunter Mentor Pledge is a big part of our relationship with them. Actually, we've got it's National Hunting and Fishing Month. We get National Hunting and Fishing Day coming up in just a few days here, and we're going to be talking more about our partnership with them and all the wonderful things that we're doing to get more mentors on the landscape and mentees out in the field.
Well, I'll even give them a free plug here because I had to buy a new pack frame. Mine finally bit the dust.
Yep.
And I was back and forth. You research stuff, and that's a big investment. To me, it's pretty hard to justify on the budget. Like, okay, I'm going to go dump $400 on a pack frame and hope I can shoot a deer or an elk this year.
Yeah.
But I did end up with an Alps pack, and I'll tell you, it's the nicest one I've ever owned.
Yeah, they've got really quality stuff.
Hybrid, that thing is a killer pack frame.
I've actually got I wouldn't say on the upland hunting side, but I actually bought sort of like it's a sort of a hiking pack hybrid that's got the shoulder straps and strapped around the waist and stuff. And I actually use it for turkey hunting, and it just works awesome. And it's like bomb proof. It's indestructible, right? That's what I like about it the most is like I'm never gonna have to buy another pack because that thing's never gonna go to the wayside. So it's
that's cool to see companies like that partnering. It's that sounds like a really cool program.
Yeah.
So where can people find, let's give you a couple of, let's make some time to make sure people know how to access in case they can't listen to this all the way through or whatever.
Yeah. No problem.
Where would you direct them to find out, events you guys have going on, your partnerships? I know our listener base is primarily hounds and bird dog hunters who are fiercely loyal to companies that support our lifestyle.
Yep.
So where are they going to find like your partners, the people you're working with, your events?
Absolutely. Yep. The number one place would be pheasantsforever.org or quailforever.org. All of our national sponsors are on there, many of them who give back to conservation at an extremely high level. We're talking about Alps Outdoors. You mentioned the Purinas of the world for dog food and dog health. The federal ammunition. There's nobody that gives back more from the ammo manufacturing side of the equation. So you can see all those on there. You can learn about membership opportunities. You can join us on Facebook as well. It's just facebook.com/Pheasants Forever, facebook.com/Quail Forever. And we keep pretty robust updates on there of all the cool things we got going on. National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic. You can get to that page by visiting our main websites. There's a stories tab on there, which I would push people towards if you're looking for cool updates on land acquisitions, kind of in-depth dog stories, nutrition, health, habitat updates, those types of things, public access, that's all on there as well. But I would say those three avenues are probably the best.
And it's a great website. I mean, I will say that.
It is, yeah. Thank you. We just
easy,
it.
easy to navigate. I was on there because you know how a lot of them are. It's a pain in the butt. And I would say, it was really easy to go in and see what you guys had going on. I mean, it's in the forefront, and it's a really easy to use website.
Yeah, if you go to the different tabs too, like you want to learn how to pheasant hunt if you've never done it before. You need to learn where to go. We've got a land acquisitions map on there that lists all the acquisitions that we've done, and we're still working on it right now. But just in Minnesota alone, we've done about 460 projects, over 60,000 acres worth. So there's a lot of property to go and visit. Hunter Mentor Pledge. We've got different programs. If you're a teacher, married to a teacher, got one in the family, we've got all sorts of resources for schools, for shooting teams, those types of things. We run grants programs with some of our partners. There's all sorts of wonderful things on the website that you can find and dive into that will keep you coming back for more on the upland habitat conservation side.
Heck yeah. I know a lot of our listeners, I've said, are primarily the hound side. A lot of bird doggers coming now since we've started working, like with Ron Boehm over at the Hunt and Dog podcast.
Yep.
We've been gaining a lot of customers from that world, which has been awesome. I will say the bird dog, upland game hunters, the waterfowl hunters, they are very nice people to deal with. They are not, I would say there was kind of a stigma for a long time. And we created this shift between there's hound guys, scent dogs, and then there's the bird guys. And we were all on different levels. And I'll tell you, it's been awesome to get to know more of what you guys are doing and the efforts that you're putting in. It is unreal. And it's really awesome to see the interest from a lot of I'll say my hound friends or things into bird hunting. Because I'll say I've never been a bird hunter. We'd always find a grouse running around deer season or something like that. Stupid chickens running around the mountain. But I'll tell you, for the last, I'm going to say 3-4 weeks, my buddy and I, we've been pretty limited on time. So we get 1 day a week, we get to go hunting. And we say we're going bear hunting, but really we've got 3 boxes of 20 gauge in the truck.
Yeah.
And we're going out looking for quail and grouse. And, it's the first season I've really thought about habitat. We just started noticing, okay, we're seeing quail here, but we're not seeing them here. Yep. And we're within quarter mile.
Yep.
It's a huge difference. The quail we're finding are in much different habitat, where the grouse, it's you get into that dark, tall timber, all of a sudden it's boom, boom, boom. There they are. And, we started kind of targeting different areas, and even the time of day. It is freaking exciting. And it is a ton of fun. No different than me going out and try to pattern a fox or a bobcat. It's the same thing, except there is a lot more shooting going on.
Yeah.
It is a ton of fun.
You learn to read the landscape of different quarry. And I think that's probably the number one thing that I love most about birding. I mean, other than watching the dog work, which is awesome in itself. And, nobody's going to disagree with that. But
right,
learning the birds, pheasants, the difference between the different quail species and where they like to hang out, and sage grouse and sharp tail. There's quite contrast between where these birds like to hang, and shortgrass prairie versus longgrass prairie and cattails and those types of things. That's pretty cool.
Sure.
Not every pheasant hunter, not every upland bird hunter is created the same. There's some that are extremely diehard. Like, I'm gonna put myself in that category. I hunt more than probably 40 to 50 days a year for upland birds, which I would consider quite a bit. Versus just going out on a weekend day every once in a while. But whether you're hardcore or not, I think sort of the common thread between upland hunters or just hunters in general, guys that have dogs, is that they care about the resource. And I think that's sort of the number one thing, is like, if you don't care about the resource and where it's coming from and how those birds are produced, there's not going to be any in the future. And that's the biggest thing for Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. We like to tout is the habitat is the number one factor, and that's not just for upland game birds. That's for all sorts of wildlife. But habitat is number one. Weather is going to affect it and have its swings, but ultimately, the more habitat that we have on the landscape, the more world-class wildlife populations we're going to have. So, we really appreciate people becoming members. If you're listening to this and you're not, and you want to learn more about, Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever, become a member. We got an awesome magazine that comes out 4 times a year, plus an extra Upland Super issue, which just came out. I think I have it right here.
That's swanky.
Yeah, all the different species you can learn about, and share a couple covers here. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But anything from spring is sort of our habitat issue. Summer is the dog issue. Fall is the hunting issue, and then winter gets into a number of different things. But it's a really great organization, and if you want to learn more about habitats and the birds themselves and all the awesome work going on from volunteers and the organization itself across the country, it's $35. Become a member, and know that we are one of the highest ranked charities on Charity Navigator online, with one of the highest ratings year after year. Like, 91 cents of every dollar that comes into the organization from membership is going straight in the ground for habitat. So
that's a chunk.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I like to hang our hat on that. So transparency in what we do as an organization is imperative.
Well, and I want to encourage everybody listening as well, because even if you're not a bird hunter, I will tell you, if you don't think that it affects everything that we all do in the outdoors, you're blind. Because I'll tell you, when this is just last weekend, we go out and we start finding, we're really patterning these birds and this and that. Well, I'm a fox hunter. Okay. I like chasing fox, and guess where the fox are hanging out?
Yeah, they're hanging out.
They're everywhere. We were finding large quail populations.
Yep.
So I could drive around during the day, and I'm like, I'm coming back here. I guarantee you, I can go get a fox going right in here in no time. And it does affect it, because I noticed when we had our big quail, we had a major quail die off, and I don't know the logistics, or the study, if anybody did one here, but just personal experience in the field, I can tell you we had a major quail die off or lack of recruitment. Like, there was no chick recruitment for years on at least this section of ground that we were hunting. And when we started looking into that, all of a sudden our fox population was way over. I mean, it was just overpopulated.
Yep.
That's all it was. All of a sudden you start bringing predators down into a manageable level that's still huntable. Then all of a sudden you've got these coveys of quail that, you're looking anywhere between 10 and 20 birds, on average, it seemed like, where before you were lucky to see a pair running around for years. And it's like in 3 years, we saw such an increase in the quail recruitment and population increase. It's unreal. Same with the turkeys. When we started cutting the turkeys, I don't know if that's a thing, but I will notice when we started limiting the turkey population, we saw the quails come up as well.
Yeah, turkey doesn't really have too much of a correlate. I mean, what would they eat a quail chick? Maybe if it ran past them, but we don't see them.
Right.
We don't see them out there with malicious intent going after them. But to your point, the big thing I was going to point out is like, especially when I used to live down in Iowa or even up here, I've got some neighbors that have got some conservation reserve program enrollment through the federal farm bill. Right, they took some of their crop ground out and put it into conservation. If you've never hunted if you've never tried hunting a big buck before in a grass enrollment somewhere, you're missing out. If you're wondering what's happened to your turkey population, and you install a new grassland conservation program, those chicks and the hens need to lay a nest somewhere, and you can see big booms in population from that. When you you go further out west, the work we're doing for sage grouse, if you're a mule deer or you're an elk hunter, that's a very, very important winter habitat for those critters. So everything that we're doing for the bird, I like to say that they're a very colorful barometer of environmental health. When we do good things for pheasants and quail and other upland birds, all the other species, it's a positive uptick for them on a number of different levels.
Yeah. Well, man, I'll tell you, I really appreciate you coming on, Jared. This was like kind of thrown in my lap, and I'm glad it happened.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, anytime. You guys got any special projects going on, or you want to get the word out, you give me a call. We'd love to have you back on. I'm hoping maybe we'll get to meet you someday face to face. I'd like to at least come and check out your event and see what it's all about someday.
Yeah, even if you guys don't have a booth there sometime, just to fly out, we'd love to host you, and it's just it's a great gathering of like-minded conservation and hunting minds. So it really is a fun time. But no, I appreciate the time and encourage folks, if you're not a Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever member, get signed up on our website right now. You can get a new Pheasants Forever hat with a neck buff that goes along with it for some of those late season hunting adventures. And for $35, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the best money you can spend for conservation, knowing that 91 cents of every dollar goes right back into the ground. So thanks.
It definitely sounds like it's going to spread a ways.
It is. Yep. And it does.
One more time, just so people know where to find you. It was pheasantsforever.com.
Pheasantsforever.org.
.org, I'm sorry.
Quailforever.org, or you can look us all up on the different social platforms.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best, man, and we'll stay in touch.
Thanks.
We'll definitely have to get back together.
Yeah, I'd love got some quail out there. I'm looking at coming to Oregon one of these times.
You let me know. It sounds like I know a guy with the resources now.
Yeah, come this way for pheasants and rough grouse. We love meeting new people and seeing new landscape.
Heck yeah. Well, man, thank you again.
You bet. Have a wonderful night.
You too. All right.